Hello and welcome back. Let's talk about the REST API in WordPress. This is the official REST API handbook available on developer.wordpress.org website. If you are not aware of this handbook, I would recommend checking it out. By going through this handbook, you will learn more about the REST API, and there are multiple references available which will be very helpful for learning it. In this video, I will give a basic overview of the REST API and how we can use it. The REST API provides a way for applications to send and retrieve data in JSON format. Earlier, we were using admin Ajax to make asynchronous requests to perform tasks like updating data or fetching data to display on the front end asynchronously. Now, instead of using admin Ajax, we can use the REST API because it provides various default endpoints or routes that we can use, along with the custom ones that you can create. For custom post types, the default posts, pages, media, or any other content types in WordPress, we have REST API endpoints for us to use. Before we continue, let's go over some key concepts because some of the terms may be new to you. Let's go through them because we will be using these terms frequently in our videos. Firstly, we have the routes and endpoints. So the REST API routes start with wp-json after our domain or site URL. For example, if you go to the Postman, which is an application for testing the API request and responses, you can type the URL here. As you can see, I have the domain name of my website, and after that, I have wp-json. Now this wp-json is the REST-based URL for the REST API. So this is the route of our request. Now, what are endpoints? For example, if there is a route like wp-json /wp /v2 /posts, so this is an endpoint. This route is used to retrieve the data of various posts on our website. But this same route can be used for two different things, reading or fetching the data using the getHTTP method, which is our current request. Now, you can also use a post request and create a new post using the post method. These different methods on the same route are called endpoints. Since I'm using pretty permalinks on my local website, I can access the REST-based URL with the wp-json. If you don't know much about the pretty permalinks, you basically just need to go to your admin dashboard and in the settings, you can see you have permalinks. Now just select anything other than the plain. So let's say you save the post name and save the changes here. So this way you have enabled pretty permalinks on your website. So if the pretty permalinks are not selected and you are using non-pretty permalinks, then the URL will look like something like this: /rest root equal to /. But we usually use pretty permalinks only. Next is the request. All the requests will be managed by the WP REST request class, which stores and retrieves information about the current request, including the body, JSON data, query strings, headers, and everything related to the request. Then we have responses, which is handled by using the WP REST response class. When a REST API request is made, the server will send back a response in JSON format. The WP REST response is used to interact with and send the response data. Now, I will show you a quick demonstration of how to register and use the WP REST request and WP REST response classes. So here, I have used the init hook, and here I'm using the REST API init action, and on that action, I'm registering a custom REST route. Here is the namespace demo/v1, and I am adding two routes to our request. That is the data to fetch all the data, and then the response to check the response received from our custom endpoint. So first we have the arguments passed to the register REST route. Here we have provided the method to be get. This can be post, put, patch, delete, etc. Then we have the callback function, basically what our endpoint should show. So in this callback function, I am checking if we have a parameter named key, and if we have that parameter, then I'm returning the response as received parameter and then the value. Otherwise, I'm saying no parameter is provided. So let's take a quick demonstration of this. You can see that I have created a GET request where I have the URL as the domain name. After domain name, we have a REST base URL, which is WP-JSON. Then I am having the demo/v1, which is our custom namespace. After that, I'm having the data, which is our root. And here, first of all, let's give no parameters and check the response. So if you see right here, it says received param is no parameter provided. But if I add any parameter right here, that is key that we are using in the code base, and if I submit, then it says the parameter value received param is 10. This way, we have created a custom endpoint and used the WP REST request class. Now, let's take the WP REST response class as well. So here also, we have the similar parameters, the methods as get, the callback function, where I am using the WP REST response class and passing the message as success and providing some random description. After that, I'm setting the status code to be 200. Then I'm setting a custom header here. Then I'm adding a link using add underscore link. And here in the first parameter, I'm saying that it points to itself. We can also provide an absolute URL here as well. Then I'm using the REST URL and provide the URL for our custom endpoint. So let's check the response received on this route. So I'll go to the get method created. And again, I'm having the domain name, the REST base URL, our custom namespace, and the route. So if I hit right here, you can see that we have the message, the description, and the links that I added using the add underscore link function. So this was a basic demonstration of using WP REST request and WP REST response classes. Next is the schema. The schema is used to structure our input data. We will learn more about schemas in upcoming videos. Then we have the controller classes. Controller classes are used to manage all the above moving parts of the REST API. There are different controllers like the post controller, taxonomy controller, etc. These controllers manage REST API routes for different custom post types and taxonomies. In future videos, we will cover things like request class, response class, schema, and controller classes in more detail. But there are basic terms you will come across in this handbook, so it's good to understand them for a better learning experience. Now, let's talk about the REST base URL. So if we go to our Postman and go to the basic request, we can remove this, and this is the REST base URL added after our site's domain. Now, if we hit the request, you can find information like the site name, description, home URL, time zone, if you have set, and more. You will also find various namespaces. Now, what is a namespace? A namespace is used to differentiate between different endpoints, since there may be other plugins or themes that add their own routes or endpoints. The namespace ensures there is no conflict. For WordPress, the default namespace is WP/v2 for all the core routes related to post, media, and other content types. When we register custom routes, we don't use the default namespace. We should always use a custom namespace based on the plugin or the theme that we are working on. Next is the authentication. There are multiple ways to authenticate requests, and we will cover these methods in future videos. Now, let's talk about routes. You can find all available routes from WordPress or any third-party plugins or themes in the routes section. By default, WordPress provides around 120 routes, and this is based on the core installation without any third-party plugin. For example, let's check out the routes available. So I will make a simple request to wp/v2/post endpoint. We also have routes information in the endpoint references section of the handbook. In this documentation, you will see all the references available for post revisions, categories, tags, etc. Let's go through the posts here. You can see the schema, different routes, and endpoints here as well. If you want to get a list of posts, you can make a GET request, and it will return a list of posts in the JSON format, including information like we have the ID, date, authors, content, and more in the response. In the response header, you will find two headers which are very helpful. If you go to the header section, you can see we have the XWP total, which is the total number of posts, that is 52 here, and the XWP total pages, which is the number of pages, that is 6, based on the number of posts displayed per page. By default, WordPress settings show 10 posts per page, but you can change this in the WordPress settings under reading section. You can also make a post request to create a post, and the documentation will show you all the argument you need to include in the request. See you in our next video. Jai WordPress.